helicopter's back. It's like, oi, got a license for that. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm British Ian McCollum, and this is my friend British Tom.
Hello.
Oh God, it's going to be like that, isn't it?
All day. No. Excuse me. There we go. All right.
Oh, okay, better now. We're out here enjoying a day of black powder shooting with a Snider. Now, this is a rifle that was adopted by the English, or the British, the whole empire, as sort of that transitionary holdover from the muzzleloading days to the cartridge days.
Right. They have their P53 rifles, muzzleloaders. Cartridges have firmly established themselves as the way things are going. How do we convert these muzzleloaders into cartridge firing rifles?
Right. So for the Americans, it was the Trapdoor Springfield. For the Russians, it was the Kanka. For the French, it was the Tabatiere. For the British, it was the Snider.
Right.
And they made something like 900,000 Sniders between when this was adopted in 1866 and when it basically went out of production in 1873.
Right. So they started off by converting the rifles. When they ran out of rifles to convert, they started making them from scratch as Sniders with a couple of changes. But what we're looking at today, this rifle in particular is not one of the British Sniders. It is a Nepalese Snider.
All right.
So there are a couple of differences. For example, the side plate is different. It has different markings. The barrel bands are retained by springs rather than screws. But other than that, it's pretty much a one-for-one copy of the Type 2 and Type 3 Snider rifles from Britain.
All right. So did you get this from that giant cache of Nepalese arms?
I did. The same cache I got my Martini from. This was one of the same rifles that came out of that castle in Nepal.
Nice, nice. So fairly affordable?
Less affordable than some of the rifles we've been featuring here, but still well within the realms of buyability and availability today.
Okay. Now, pretty much every rifle we've had out here has had about the same cartridge.
Right.
It's like 11 millimeter generic European.
Correct.
With the exception of the Vetterli,
right,
which is a smaller case, the intermediate assault rifle case of the black powder era. This is the big honkin' stomper.
The 5.77 Snider. It is pretty big. It's basically almost 60 caliber, and it's a lot of powder behind it. It's an absolute chunky boy of a rifle.
Now, I'm assuming that is so that they didn't have to change the barrels on their 5.77 caliber 1853 pattern muzzle
Right.
loaders.
Actually, these rounds are loaded with 58 caliber mini ball. So it's the same ball that you would use in a muzzle loader. I've just loaded it into a cartridge.
Well, isn't that convenient and easy?
Yep.
Nice. And is that what they originally did, or is that just convenience today?
Convenience today.
Okay.
The original Sniders actually had a really cool looking Minier style projectile. It had a little plug in the base to expand it into the rifling. It had like a hollow cavity or like a wood-filled cavity at the nose. So soft lead plus cavity equals massive destruction upon impact. And when you're talking, the round unexpanded is almost 60 caliber.
Whew. Oh boy. Yeah. I have to say, this is a slimmer and more svelte rifle than I was anticipating.
It is not bad when you consider the size of the bore and the rifle. It is a very elegant rifle.
Well, I mean, it's elegant handling until you go and open it. And you're like, oh, there's just a giant hole in the back of the barrel. Like, we're just going to cut off the back of the barrel and stick on this new receiver with a big old trapdoor in it. So, all right, well, I am curious about two things in particular. One is, what's the recoil like with this? And the other is, what's the ejection or extraction like with this?
Not good and not good.
All right. Well, that sounds like a fantastic start. Let's do some shooting.
All right, so to load, bring the hammer back, open up the shoe, seat your round, close the shoe,
and fire.
And fire.
All right.
Yeah.
We do not have a whole lot of ammunition. This is kind of a weird one, well, a more difficult one to make.
Quasi.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just have not had time to make a huge quantity of it because it is not something I'm shooting huge quantities of. Yeah.
How do you extract that case?
Well, if you remember on the Trapdoor, when you opened up the Trapdoor, it automatically pulled it out and kicked it out.
Yeah.
This one, you have to do it manually.
Yeah, that didn't do anything when you opened it.
So you open the chute, grab it, and pull back. It is spring-loaded.
Okay.
And it kicks it out. Then you tilt the gun over.
Ugh.
So it is a bit more manual.
Ugh. All right, let me try one of those. All right, so if I remember my Trapdoor manual of arms, you would want to pull this back to half cock, open, load the round, close, then fully cock the hammer, and miss. That's, you know, honestly, that's got a kick of a recoil to it, but it's not really much worse than 11mm generic European.
It is not, I mean, compared to like the big elephant guns of today, it's not that bad.
This is where this thing is inevitably going to have issues, isn't it? As it gets dirty. What could go wrong?
Yeah, there are a lot of very small features there and a spring to hold it and push it forward. Lots of places for fouling to get into.
And there is no primary extraction on this.
No, it is all you.
It's just hit this, or it'd be a little tricky to even get in there with a knife and try and pry it out, because the rest of the chamber is recessed right around in here. So there's not really even a good place to try and wedge around out.
Luckily, it does have a cleaning and clearing rod. So if necessary,
that's going to be a very useful tool. All right, round. See if I can hit this time. Nope. Well, this time trial is going to be something else, isn't it?
How high does the timer go?
We'll see. I don't think we have a par set on the timer. All right. You want to do this?
Yeah, let's do some shooting and then.
I think the question here is not so much what will our times be, but more
when will we give up?
Yeah, can we complete a 7-round rapid fire time trial?
Well, one way to find out.
All right. Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to turn over the sand dial here. All right, stand by. .55. But you had a good, smooth rhythm going there. It wasn't fast, but it was consistent. Oh, that was a lot of work.
Yeah, so minute 5.
All right. Consistently slower than you.
Oh man, as a lefty.
Yeah, that's not lefty friendly.
Oh no, I don't think the Queen allowed lefties to handle these. I mean, and
No, she certainly would not have.
Yeah.
And probably the King still doesn't today. Actually, in fact, I've seen the current British service rifle. They still don't allow left-handedness.
Okay, so some things never change.
Ugh. Yeah. That was just bleh. Maybe I've been spoiled by some of the repeaters we've done recently.
Yeah, but I mean, compared to some of the conversions out there, it's not great, but it is serviceable. And compared to muzzle loading,
so yeah, clearly better than a muzzle loader. Not nearly as good as a Trapdoor Springfield.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the Trapdoor's got built-in ejection.
Mhm.
I don't have to do any of this stupid like, ow, ooh, burn yourself on the barrel. I don't have to do any of this like manual fiddle with it. And,
Right.
blah. And the Trapdoor gives you some leverage too.
Right.
Because you've got that long Trapdoor acting on a small ejector.
Right.
Not perfect, but better than this.
And considerably more ambidextrous, because this one, you have to turn it to the side. You have to do it on one side.
Yeah.
Tilt the rifle and...
And for me, being left-handed, like if the convenient way to dump it is this side, which then closes the bolts. Then I have to reopen the bolt to, gross.
Yeah.
I am kind of curious to see, I'm sure we're going to get to the tabatiere.
We will.
And I'm curious to see how the tabatiere compares to this guy.
Right.
But for the time being, like, we probably ought to have, in terms of adjudicating, which are best and worst,
right,
we should probably consider a third sort of pseudo category for conversions.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of unfair to compare this to
a Mauser 71
or a Beaumont or any of the guns that were actually designed to be cartridge rifles.
Right.
And yeah, ew, gross is my initial reaction. I'd rather have a Trapdoor is my second reaction.
Which should say a lot.
Holy cow, if I'd rather have a Trapdoor, that says a lot, is my third reaction.
Oh, yeah.
So, do you want to do any more shooting with it?
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm done. We are enjoying black powder, but not nearly as much with this one as with some other guns we've done.
Well, if you enjoy having a mustachioed gentleman talk about the Snider and shoot a Snider, check out our friend Rob over at British Muzzleloaders. He has an entire series about the Snider, putting it into its historical context and doing historical drill and shooting with the Snider.
And you know where you can find that? You can find that over on the History of Weapons and War app, where British Muzzleloaders is one of the 10 excellent historical educational channels we have. The other thing you can find over there is the full version of this video, because we are now going to head into the lab and load up some 577 Snider and show you how to do it. But YouTube doesn't like that sort of thing, so that will be available on the History of Weapons and War streaming app. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, watching us suffer through time trials with a Snider. Thanks for watching. The mustache says English, but the hat says French. I'm very confused here.
It's fine.